I think as we look across Africa, we also can't escape the issue of understanding our governments and working well with our governments, and understanding the issue of negotiation. I think we had that issue. We had an investment again in Zimbabwe, where we invested in the largest citrus estate there. But Zimbabwe has some political headwinds that are sometimes difficult to deal with. And it's one of those places where, when we invested, the government decided, look, they wanted part of the action. It took us 2 or 3 years, but again, it speaks to the issue of training within the African context. When this issue happened, all my investors overseas said, look, let's sue the Zimbabwean government. Let's take them to The Hague. Let's do what we have to do. Because, we were concerned about Zimbabwe and what was happening there. So when we actually invested, we used a vehicle that came out of the Netherlands, because the Netherlands had a bilateral protection agreement treaty that had been tried in a court, and we knew Zim was likely to be afraid of that. But at the end of the day, we decided, hey, this is a Pan-African solution. We need to look at people trained to deal with Pan-African issues and dealing with it from an African context. And that's the path we eventually followed. And we used some of our African colleagues trained in Africa who understood a lot about African interactions and how you work within the African interactions. And one of the prominent persons we used in this process was the chairman of AMSCO, who is a good friend who invited me to the board. Again, it just speaks to the issue of localized training, understanding your context, understanding your jurisdiction, understanding who you have to work with. I do see a lot of companies. Sometimes when we went to invest in Madagascar, we found the company there. They had consultants from France and all over the place who were helping them set things right, etc. But my view has always been, try to get the local teams, try to get the local outfits like AMSCO, because there is always a local context with which you have to look at all of these investments, with which you have to look at what's important to each of the individual ecosystems that you work with. This issue of operational arbitrage and making sure you have the right people and the right levels with the right training to actually drive that value. You have all of those in place and all of those working. It just makes for a better investment decision and the likelihood for getting an investment.